Ray, let's look at headline number 3.
The head of the International Energy Agency has warned that the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict has the potential to disrupt global oil supplies, reminiscent of the oil shock that occurred 50 years ago in 1973.
국제에너지기구 IEA 사무총장은 최근 벌어진 이스라엘과 팔레스타인 무장정파 하마스 간 전쟁으로 세계 석유 공급에 차질이 빚어져 50년 전인 1973년에 발생한 것과 비슷한 오일 쇼크가 찾아올 가능성이 있다고 경고했습니다. Let's have a look at this story first of all. Tell us about this.
Well, according to the head of the International Energy Agency, markets will remain volatile, meaning that it can go up a lot, it can change a lot. The conflict does have the potential to push oil prices higher. They said that developing countries that import oil and other fuels would be the most affected by higher prices, and we know that Korea imports pretty much all of its energy, so this could affect. It could affect the Korean economy. One big worry is that it could lead to problems with Iran. So, Iran's oil has really been constrained by international sanctions, but they are still sending oil to China and some other countries.
Yeah.
And perhaps the U.S. and the international community, maybe they're not being as strict on Iran sanctions, but if Iran gets involved in the conflict through Hezbollah, then this could lead to bigger problems.
Right, exactly. And then we might see what we saw 50 years ago happen again.
They're saying probably not. Like they're saying, like, if we think of these, we are seeing stagflation. We've seen it for a few years. And that was the one big thing that came out of the embargoes and everything in the 70s. But one of the big things, especially in the U.S. in the 70s, were lines at gas stations.
Right.
Massive lines. So they're saying that's probably not going to happen. Hopefully not, because U.S. oil production is at an all-time high. So one report I read looked at oil production from the first week in October, just a couple weeks ago, and they compared it to the first week in October in 2012, and weekly domestic oil production in the U.S. has doubled since then.
Okay.
So it's doubled in a decade.
Well, of course, this headline is talking about the worst case scenario, which, as you said, in terms of probability, might not happen, but nonetheless.
It reminds us of it. It's similar enough. What's happening feels similar.
Yeah. Let's look at the key expressions here. The first one is, it has the potential to do something.
When you hear potential, think of possibility. So in this case, it has the potential. It might not, but it's possible that this conflict could lead to higher energy prices. The other way we use potential a lot is you talk about a person having potential.
Yeah.
Usually someone younger, meaning you see in them some talent or some ability, so it's very possible that they will get even better and be very successful with that skill.
Indeed. Potential은 잠재력이라는 뜻이 있죠. 사람한테 썼을 때 특히 이제 어린 학생들한테 정말 잠재력이 보이는 학생이다. 이런 말을 할 때 this child or this student has a lot of potential 이렇게 말할 수 있고요. 그다음에 또 이 상황 속에서는 it has the potential to do something이라고
Yes,
했으니까.
exactly. One thing has the potential to do or cause something else to happen.
네. 이런 가능성이 있다. 이런 잠재력이 있다라는 뜻으로 썼네요. Your example sentence is
So some situation has the potential to change the company. Or you could also say change the country,
Right.
Anything has the potential to. A lot of times it's potential to, so potential to change something.
That's an important point as well.
Right.
The potential to do something. 이 포인트를 지금 짚어주셨고요. 이것이 이 기업을 바꿀 수 있는 그런 잠재력을 가지고 있다. 이 예문이었습니다.
So this would sound better if I said like maybe the M&A or the merger has the potential to change the company forever.
그렇죠. 그
a better
M&A를 했는데 그것이 이제 앞으로 이 회사가 나아갈 방향에 있어서 큰 변화를 가져올 가능성이 있다. 이렇게 또 예문을 만들 수 있겠고요. 그 다음 표현으로는 reminiscent of something입니다.
So people might have heard the word to reminisce. So if you meet up with your high school friends or your university friends, when I go home and I meet all my high school or university friends, you usually talk about the past a lot of the time. So you're because you're with those people, you remember old things that happened. So you're reminiscing, talking about the past. So when we see what's happening right now in the Middle East, it's reminiscent of the 70s. It reminds us of that.
reminisce 한다라고 하면은 옛날 생각을 한다는 의미가 있을 수 있어서 지금 말씀해 주신 것처럼 동창 만났을 때 우리가 중고등학교 아니면 초등학교 동창까지도 이렇게 예전 친구를 만나서 얘기를 하다 보면은 그때 생각이 많이 나잖아요. 그때 쓸 수 있는 표현이 I met my elementary school friend the other day and we really reminisced.
Did you really?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's an example sentence.
It was so believable.
Really?
Yeah.
자, 그래서 그 reminisce가 여기서는 reminiscent라는 형태로 쓰였어요. 보통 of랑 같이 많이 씁니다. It is reminiscent of A라고 하면 A를 생각나게 한다. 라는 뜻이 되겠습니다.
A lot of the times you'll think, if you say you hear a song or maybe you see a TV show, like, oh, it's like, I'll see things on like social media that'll have clips of TV shows from the 80s or 90s. And when I see that, it's so reminiscent of my childhood. Or like, oh, that's so 90s. That's so reminiscent of the 90s.
Exactly. Reminiscent of my childhood. 저거 보니까 나 어릴 적이 많이 생각나네. 이런 거였습니다.
Is there any things for you that you think of when you...
You know, the recent or not so recent movie with the super da-da-da, dun-dun-dun-dun. I can't sing the song, but you know, the games and the characters and the mushrooms and the the brothers.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
that is very reminiscent of my childhood
so
too.
I went to watch that movie. It's maybe 2 months ago,
Sure.
and it was very reminiscent of my childhood.
Right.
Because I liked playing that game.
Oh, yeah, everybody played that in the 80s
I think our listeners
and 90s.
know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Okay, so here is the headline one more time. The head of the International Energy Agency has warned that the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict has the potential to disrupt global oil supplies, reminiscent of the oil shock that occurred 50 years ago in 1973. Okay, and let's move on to the next headline.